This is the Twins POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Minnesota Twins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's happening? Back in the lab, back at it. Another Twins POSTCAST right here, Locked On Sports Minnesota Network, your team every day. Twins drop another game in the late innings tonight after the bullpen falls apart late. 6-2, that's your final versus Cleveland. Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman. Got my main man, Sweet Lou Hennesey. Give him a follow on X, at Sweet Lou MN. Twins expert, by the way, over at Zone Coverage MN. And as always, go check out our guy, Brandon Warren. All the daily Twins content you can handle over on the Locked On Twins podcast. That's each and every day. All right, so 6-2. That's your final tonight. 66 to Lopez's potential injury tonight. What we loved, what we hated. But first, let's just jump right into the biggest turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
All right, Sweet Lou, 2-2 tie game in the eighth. Here comes Jose Ramirez, the Twins killer, right, leading things off. First of all, incredible at-bat, per usual, by him. Multiple tough pitches he just battled out. It was a great at-bat. Multiple tough pitches he battled off with 2 strikes. Then he takes that like 95, 96 mile an hour fastball up out of the zone, down the right field line for a double. Twins decided to walk Zardo. Here comes Naylor. He delivers the go-ahead RBI. Was that it? Was that the point? Walk us through it. Biggest turning point from tonight.
It's almost like one of these teams was in playoff contention and one was not, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. That 8th inning had to be the turning point. Cole Sands, what has happened to you, my friend? He was looking, he was one of the only holdovers at the trade deadline. He, for about a month there, he was looking really, really good. He was a strikeout machine. He was that buzzsaw, one of the only weapons they had in the bullpen. And in like 5 of his last 6, he's given a multiple just back-breaking runs, and tonight was no different, unfortunately. Tough opponent, like you said, Jose Ramirez. He's a future Hall of Famer, probably. Kyle Manzardo has killed them in the past, so they go to Bo Naylor, who's hitting under 200, but I think he has like 19 RBIs in 25 games against the Twins, and they all seem to be just clutch hits. So Bo Naylor, unbelievable. I think within a couple minutes, he and his brother Josh Naylor hit RBI, 2 RBI hits.
They were in sync.
They were in sync. So they were in sync. Yeah, brothers. They think alike, man.
Let me ask you that. Let's go to the Rocco report then. Did you like that decision to walk Manzardo and pitch to Naylor instead? I get the thought process they talked about on the broadcast. Corey Provis, Justin Morneau, Naylor batting below 200, Manzardo around 240. So on paper, I get the thought process. But just walk me through it. The blueprint, the strategy, and what you thought at the time. I know it's easy to say in hindsight, but what you thought about that process.
On paper, it made sense. And you know what? There's a lot of decisions this year that on paper made a lot of sense. And unfortunately, the player just couldn't come through and follow through with the logic behind that decision. So I like the decision to go after Bo Naylor. Like I said, he's hitting under 200. He's late hitting catcher, but just seems like all the hits that he seems to get against the Minnesota Twins seem to be just so clutch. And I don't know if there was a winning choice for Rocco to make in the 8th inning there. If this is the version of Cole Sands that they're getting, unfortunately.
This is what you'll be talking about.
And a game like this probably could go 2-3 different directions here as well tonight. But where would you like to start when it comes to just what we'll be talking about tomorrow morning after this game?
Tomorrow morning before the decisive doubleheader that they have going against the Cleveland Guardians, I think we'll probably be talking about Pablo Lopez and his potential injury that he sustained. I know you mentioned it at the beginning of the broadcast here. While he was making a play in the field, it sounds like he kind of fell over, and now he left the game after the 4th inning with right forearm tightness. So not something you want to see from Pablo, who missed 3 months of the season already. Unfortunately, it just seems like a lot of Twins are just dropping like
if it is worst case scenario, which with the right forearm tightness, I don't even know what that would be, right? I'm not a doctor, despite what a lot of people think. But if it is, right, like how devastating would that be in a, quote unquote kind of meaningless game? You're out of playoff contentions. You're 21 games below 500. Obviously, you're still going to trot out your guys night in and night out. But how devastating would that be with 9
Well,
games?
like you said, Dr. Inman, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here. But say this is something that is a long-term injury, which knock on wood, hopefully it's not. Hopefully he fell on it funny and just wasn't feeling right. At this point in the season, there's no point in testing it and pushing it. But let's say it is something that's long-term. That is just so killer for Pablo, who, like I said, already had a long-term injury that he just came back from and just wanted to get 4 or 5 healthy starts to go into the offseason in a good spot. He could wake up tomorrow and things could be fine. Who knows? Maybe they just didn't want to risk it tonight, understandably. But boy, that would be so killer for a team that just has felt like it's at rock bottom for the last couple of months to just keep sinking lower in terms of
and 4 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned. Probably his last start of the year now, you would think, with this right forearm tightness, with just 9 games to go. But when he was in there, right, those 4 innings, what did we learn about him tonight, where he's kind of at in the process coming back from, his previous injury, and just kind of in general how his
to be expected for the most part, that the 2 RBIs that he gave up to, once again, Bo Naylor, that I think it was more just a matter of one bad pitch. I don't know if it was so much a matter of his stuff wasn't working. He was all over the place. He looked reasonable for what we'd expect from Pablo at this point in the season, especially, like I said, coming back from that injury. So nothing too out of the ordinary, and here's hoping that right forearm tightness isn't anything serious.
When it's a 2-2 game in the 8th and you end up losing 6-2, I feel like another thing we'll be talking about in the morning is the bullpen. And you touched on it, right? It's just so bad, dude. I don't want to put you on the spot or anything, but any analytics about just like how bad this bullpen has been post-trade deadline? Cole Sands and Tonkin, that's who we point the finger job to lose out there. It's just been that bad.
Yeah, look, we knew they were going to be bad after they traded their top 5 options at the trade deadline. We knew it wasn't going to be smooth sailing, so to speak. And yeah, they've been among the worst in the league for sure. I want to say in terms of ERA and just runs allowed, they've been at the very bottom of the pile. The Twins pitching in general has just been very, very bad since the trade deadline. Rotation's been, I guess you could say, slightly better than the bullpen, but there haven't been many winning options. I will talk a little bit later probably about some pros and cons that we saw from the bullpen. But once again, Cole Sands, it was just pretty brutal to see for somebody who they're going to be counting on to be a member of that bullpen.
How about Byron Buxton? Bottom 7, strikes out swinging, goes back to the dugout. And for a guy who's, cool, calm, collected 24/7, a little mini meltdown, throws the helmet, cracks the bat, walks back to the locker room. What exactly happened there for people who don't know? And what do you think that maybe does, that human emotion, what do you think that does for a clubhouse, especially with a lot of young guys, to see your leader show that kind of emotion once in a while? Because I for one, actually, I think it'd be a great thing to get mad, show some frustration, show that you care, show that it eats at you, especially when things aren't going your way, especially when things are frustrating.
Yeah, for as great of a season as Byron has had here, which I don't want to take anything away, I think he's absolutely going to get some down ballot MVP votes. He's had a tough couple weeks. He's still got a great stat line out there. Like I said, not taking it away from his season, but that's the kind of player that Byron has been for the last 5-6 years. Now, good streaks last a lot longer, and his bad streaks, wind down a little bit, but it's still bound to happen. So he's had a tough couple of weeks. I think this was the culmination of it. It's been a frustrating season for everybody. Can't blame him for that. Like you said, I think it's good to show some emotion every once in a while, and I don't think that he showed anything that is going to be, bad for the manager or bad for the clubhouse or anything like that. So, everybody has their breaking point, I think. And if this was Byron's, maybe he can turn around and have a good couple of games tomorrow.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
So many options to choose from here, Sweet Luke. So many options. Even after a loss, though, I got to do it. Your official game MVP from tonight. Give me one lone bright spot from tonight for the Twins. Who was it and why?
I'll give it to Royce Lewis. A couple of hits tonight. He's actually had quietly a pretty good second half. Not an all-star level, not nearly the power that they're expecting to see from him. But he had a brutal first half, and in the second, I want to say he's been, maybe 10% over league average, which is pretty good batting line. We'll take that. It's not going to be any all-star or anything, but if he can quietly get himself back on pace, we'll take that from Royce Lewis, because the game plan coming into this year was Byron Buxton, Carlos Correa, Royce Lewis. Those three guys got a hit, and unfortunately, Byron Buxton was the only one who really was anything consistently a good hitter this season. So who Lewis and Luke Keeschel or Walker Jenkins or something like that. But Royce Lewis, if he's going to be back next year, is going to be a pretty integral part of this team. And so to see him get a couple hits tonight in a game where they're, like you said, not a lot of wins, not a lot of winning players, I'll give it to Royce tonight.
Don't go anywhere. Biggest successes, biggest failures from tonight. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by FanDuel. The NFL season's here, and FanDuel, they're making sure you're ready for $5. If your bet wins, you're getting $300 in bonus bets guaranteed. What I love about FanDuel, they got everything. Player props, same game parlay, even jumping in live as the action unfolds. You name it, they got it. It's so quick, it's so easy, and the best way to add a little bit more enthusiasm to your Sundays. Are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app. Visit FanDuel.com today to get started. That's FanDuel.com. You're getting $300 in bonus bets guaranteed when your first $5 wager wins. All right, biggest successes, biggest failures, the pros, the cons. When it comes to tonight's game specifically, right, Lou? Let's just start with the biggest success of tonight.
Yeah, we're looking for some W's out of the bullpen here. Cody Lawyerson and Cody Funderburg, two Codys here. They did a good job. 3 1/3 combined innings, 0 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, just 1 hit allowed. They're going to be names that we're going to see there in the bullpen next year, and it was good to see somebody come out there and put up a couple zeros. So we'll take some zeros where we can get them. As far as cons go, already mentioned Cole Sands, Michael Tonkin. I have a feeling it's just they're kind of running out the clock here. I don't think that he's going to be a name that you're going to be seeing in the mix next year. He's a veteran player. This is his 3rd stint with the Twins already. So, I don't think he's shown very much to be optimistic about heading into 2026. But we'll take the W's from the two Codys.
I know he went 1 for 4 tonight. Didn't light the world on fire, but Luke Keeschel, man, he's just fun to watch, dude. Just a spark plug, right? Just as a runner, not the fastest guy in the world. He reminds me, to give you a Timberwolves analogy, he reminds me of Terrence Shannon Jr. in the fact that not the biggest, not the fastest, right? Not the fastest straight line 40 speed, but the RPMs are just cranked up so high all the time. I think Aaron Gleeman had a great report on him. A little good scouting report, a little breakdown up at The Athletic. I think he said, it was a great analogy, his cleats in the dirt are in like this all-out war every step he takes when he's running out there. And I just love that. It's just fun. He's exciting. He's encouraging, I guess, to think about him, night in and night out.
That's some poetry from my guy, AG. I'll tell you that much.
Wasn't that good?
Yeah,
man?
no, that's exactly right. Yeah. That's the fire that Luke Keeschel has brought to this team in his brief appearances here with the club. He's as much of a sure thing to come back next year as anybody on this team, including Byron Buxton. He's a veteran, the minimum salary player. He's shown these awesome sparks. He's hitting 300 still. They need somebody at second base. He plays second base. What are the odds? So he's going to be a lot to be on this team next year. You got to think. And it's been really good to see. We're hoping to see a little bit more power developed. We're hoping to see a little bit more arm developed in the field. I think that's been kind of his weak spot. He gets to a lot of balls, and it's just a matter of being able to finish the play. But you know what? He's recovering from Tommy John surgery last year. He broke his forearm. I'm going to cut the guy some slack on some weak arm strength for now. So I think that noodle arm will be a thing that is reserved for 2020.
Biggest failure of the night from tonight's game goes to who or what?
Oh boy! Besides.
How about fans? How about the fans in the rain? I mean, it rained hard in the first inning, got pretty clear up until about the eighth. I want to say maybe ninth inning. How about the fans sticking it out?
Good for them. They earned it. I know tonight was Twins Twitter night. They hosted a lot of the Twitter personalities up on the third deck there. So they got to see a pretty, I guess you could say competitive game through 7.5 innings. So like you said, they're the champs tonight, I think.
When you watch a game like this tonight, one team RBI, what's the one thing you think to yourself, but anytime next year, if they don't improve at blank, what is it?
They're not going to have any shot if they strike out 16 times in a game. That's one thing. But all throughout the season, we just have not seen consistent power from anybody. It's nice when you're able to tack on 3-4 hits in a row and score a couple of runs. That's just not how successful teams win at a consistent level in 2025. So next year, we need to see more pop from the bats. We need to see more power for sure, because we need to see somebody that can just lay into one and put the team on the board.
No doubt about it. Let's end on this nerdy stat of the daytime. You got any crazy stat, fun analytic, Twins related tonight?
Yeah, this is a loose Twins related, but bear with me. So Clayton Kershaw announced that he's retiring at the end of this season, and tonight was his last regular season home start at Dodger Stadium. Throughout his career, Clayton Kershaw was more likely to throw a scoreless start than to have a pitching loss. He had 101 scoreless starts, 96 losses in his career. I bring this up because when the Twins were floating Johan Santana on the trade market, they wound up trading him to the New York Mets. They talked with the Yankees about Melky Cabrera. They talked to the Red Sox about John Lester. They talked to the Los Angeles Dodgers about Matt Kemp and a first-round pick from the year before, who was a 20-year-old Clayton Kershaw. What could have been if that trade was actually on the table? The best pitcher of the generation, for sure. So, what could have been?
2-3 years of Kershaw, 21, 22, maybe 23. Who knows? Maybe we get lucky, and then it's time to pay the guy. See ya. So that's probably how that would have went. Twins dropped game one in the rain after some clutch hitting by Cleveland in the eighth. Jose Ramirez, Bo Naylor, they're the culprits tonight. 6-2, that was your final. 66 and 87 now. Check out all Sweet Lou's work on X. Give him a follow at Sweet Lou MN, plus all the work he's always ripping up over at ZoneCoverageMN.com as well. Luke Inman on X at Luke_Spinman. We got the double header action tomorrow. A 1:10 first pitch. We got Joe Ryan on the mound for game one. We'll catch you right here, same time, same place. Until then, signing out.